It's a little later than I want it to be, but this is better than never. I'm going to send this out to one person. All right. So hopefully that works, and we'll get started in a second or two. So, so we're back again. I was going to go a little bit earlier, but I want to do something a little bit off the beaten path just because of a meeting I had earlier today. And that meeting, hopefully this helps a little bit. So that meeting is regarding work. All right. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to have to go on site for a mixed meeting. It's going to be some work getting done, and then at night, some socializing. And that is great to a degree. I am somewhat of an introvert, but I have to turn it on sometimes, and I can. So it happened to cross my desk a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. A nice video by Maggie, the substitute teacher, and a Miss Luke Casely. I think that's sharing now. Nope, that's not. It's not the right one. I'm trying to share this one. There we go. Let's try that one. And let's share the sound. Let's go here. All right. So this video is about an hour or so and went through a lot of good stuff, right? So a couple things. So Maggie, substitute teacher, and Miss Lucchese are ladies who are, I think they're holding basically, I would call it etiquette, socializing, and best practices as far as being a young professional person or middle-aged professional person. What are you going to do in your life? And they gave this great seminar on what are you going to do in your social situation? How do you prepare yourself? What are the things you're going to do? Present yourself, and then ultimately establish friendships, a network, and grow. Right. So that's always very important. And it's important to do that within your own network. Obviously, your work environment is going to be different. And I think it's going to identify different types of situations you should be in and different suggestions. They're coming at it from a lady's perspective, which I really appreciated. So I think I told Maggie I would come from it from a male's perspective and see what I can add or insert, right? And I really have only about 10 or 15 sections, right? And I want to give you a good framework for the type of event you might be going to. I really classify them as three types. You're gonna have one, the informal office gathering on work hours. This is the this is the cheap office, right? They are going to take you out to lunch. You're worried about whether or not you're going to have to pay because normally you bring your lunch, that type of stuff. It's probably going to be at a Cheddar's or a Chili's or something along those lines. You really just show up to work, do everything as normal instead of going for a walk or going to the place you like to go to lunch. You go to lunch with your coworkers. That's no big deal. Second one, and this is a little more serious, is going to be the informal or formal gathering, right? And I think the informal gathering is probably the more risque one because people tend to let their guard down. The formal gathering, I think people actually have their guard up and are a little more prepared because you're typically going to be at a third space. That could be a restaurant, that could be a rented out room, that could be a major center, right? I've been at the Chart House, a higher end exclusive club, like a country club, and been at I went to two at the Reagan Ballroom, or the Reagan Building, right? Their main entry foyer ballroom, and those are going to be the more stylish, more presentable, but people know that they have to be on their best behavior, right? You're going to be wearing typically a suit, coat and tie, something along those lines. It won't be full formal, but I'll give you an idea. What you're expected to do is basically come in, cocktails, I try to say one and done, and then dinner, dancing. No, this is no time to show off your best moves, right? And then you make your way out by 10 p.m. and you're good to go. 10 p.m. at the latest. If you have an excuse, have one pocketed in your hip, like you have kids, even if you do or don't, right? And then the last one is the most risque one, the one that you could mess everything up, is the informal at someone's home, right? People tend to let their guards down. They don't dress for it. They aren't wearing their uniform. They're a little more relaxed, right? And so at this point, the environment feels like you could be hanging out with your friends and you could be doing things with your friends. I wouldn't recommend having that type of description or that disposition just because I've seen it go horribly. Um, Short interlude, I had a colleague, this was almost 10 years ago, and she was at a party, a Memorial Day party at one of our supervisors' place. She got very intoxicated to the point where she soiled herself. We never saw her again. She didn't get kicked out. She left. That's how it can go bad. That's a worst case scenario. I've known of others where people, a little flirty in the, cloak closet, that type of stuff. It does happen. Your best bet is to play along the game very politely, know how to present yourself, know how to ingratiate yourself, know how to and introduce yourself and establish a good friendship or rapport with people. That means shaking hands. That means introducing them to your girlfriend, partner, spouse, however you want to name her. And also being able to have someone who can work well with you in the room. That means getting names, getting introductions. I'd say the best secret weapon any man has is a woman who knows how to make herself kind of sparkle, and it just helps to make you look great. There's a good scene in the movie The Departed where they ask, why should a guy be married? They say they know at least one person can tolerate you, right? And it says something about you. It gives something about your character. So we'll go into this. All right. So before we go in, all right, dress code from right to left. I'll say you don't want to have casual, the super casual, right? Unless you're at a water park or something along those lines, that's not really what you're going to do. Maybe if it's a backyard barbecue, that might be fine, but I would avoid it typically. The casual, I think that's fine for the backyard barbecue. I think that's where you're going to go pretty well. Everything's going to look good. That's going to be your chinos, your collared blue shirt or your polo, right? You can have some comfortable, somewhat dressed shoes, fashion sneakers. Here's a good brand that I like. Birchbury, they have, let me see. Yeah, they have a barefoot sneaker that I really like. Right. It's very casual, nice leather, looks good from the side profile, gives you a little bit of comfort, stylish, right? And I think it was on their more formal one, which is their dress shoe, also stylish, comfortable, looks good. Your shoes are important. Why? Because you are going to be standing a lot. And if you're not comfortable, I've rarely seen a man take off his shoes at one of these events. But I have seen a woman do it. So get some good, comfortable shoes. These are not hard sole, so that's why I appreciate them. But the uppers are actually pretty presentable, so you can look like you're actually mixing and matching. And these ones actually do go with a suit. Probably not the most formal suits, but if you have your khaki, yeah, if you have a khaki suit, tan suit, navy blue pinstripe, it can work. It'll look a little bit curious, but it can work. All right. This is pretty much why. If you want to be comfortable, you want to look good, right? Your next one, your business casual. That's going to be your blazer. You could be wool hair. You could be camel hair. You could be navy blue. You could have a nice pinstripe, but you want to have a blazer or a sport coat, not an actual suit jacket because it's just not going to fold and drape like it would with the suit. Suits are all made to fall in line with themselves. Pants and jacket. All right. Your semi-formal, that's pretty much where you're going to go. Unless you're at a very formal event, you're really not going to need much more than this. So that's going to be your traditional, your IBM blue, your charcoal gray, maybe a nice black. Yeah, this is going to be your typical way you're going to go for a more evening event at that second option. The formal ballroom type, you're going to be at the Reagan building, formal drinks, dinner, a little bit of dancing, out of there by 10 p.m., right? The creative black tie, most people only really wear these at a wedding when they're getting married. If you're going to a very formal event, you're at a high-end situation where you've been invited to the mayor's mansion, or maybe your volunteer circle also has a major function. This is where you're going to have to deal with. I tell you, you can have a tuxedo and make sure you still fit in it. Obviously, make sure it's tailored to fit you, or you can rent one. I do think renting one, people can kind of tell because it's just not going to be made to fit you. It's going to be made to fit everyone. And white tie, no one is going to wear this. Like almost no one wears this outside of very elite functions. It has a very specific look outside of the tuxedo, and that it has the tails and the white cummerbund and jacket. no one wears this. Like I've probably seen I've seen one event where people have worn this. I've never been to one, but the tuxedo, I say get the suit, have your blazer, have your polos, have your blue shirt, and you'll be good for pretty much 99% of events. All right, so let's go into this. Okay, so let's go. We had 6 places that I want. Well, I don't want to name, I don't want to number it. Okay, so a couple. We should have a quicker way to jump over this. Hopefully the sound is working.
About it in the bottom.
Okay.
She has courting on when you're watching this. Bring your.
Okay, so this is bring your other half. This is a big deal. Like I said earlier, you really want to make sure that the woman you're with represents you well, because obviously, Victor, it's going to be great. See what 2 ladies have to say.
Lady, I'd like to introduce her to the wives. So, ladies, if you are interested in a relationship, being able to work the room and feel comfortable and confident and feminine is a huge skill set that I think you can learn. All right, everybody. So I have linked Sarah's website in the description. It's also in the banner, the Femininity Project, Inc.
I also linked it there. Remember, you represent her, she represents you. You play off of each other. There should be a rapport, and people should be able to recognize that you actually enjoy each other's company. They see you and see her in you. Much like they see you in her. There's a reason why you picked each other. It's not just because you're good looking. You kind of get along with each other. You enjoy each other's company. It should be reflected in how you engage with them. Let's see. Another thing. Figure out if you are an introvert. I call myself a closet introvert. How do you calm yourself down? Ladies talk about you should have your routine down. If you have a big event for a big day, you really want to make sure that you've gotten everything you need out of the way. That's a gym session in the morning, yoga, having all your errands run. You went to get a massage with Burke Williams. You've got dogs at the kennel, or you've got a babysitter for your kids. You want to make sure your mind is clear. You have a way to check things out, and you're rested, because it takes a lot out of you to be in these, or me, takes a lot out of me to go through these situations. Got to have a nice light smile, got to be able to relax, got to be able to shake hands, introduce myself, and ask people questions in a way that lets them know I'm interested, but I'm not exactly probing, even though you are. Try to remember.
You lock up. You're in survival mode. You feel nervous, maybe you sweat a little bit, maybe you're shaky a little bit. I want to go through this list, and I want you ladies to really think about your first initial reaction to these environments, and we'll talk about why after. So you can put it in the chat or you can share it with yourself, but Lucy and I will probably do this exercise with you all. All right, so the first one she has here is a restaurant. I already know how I feel. A coffee shop, a bar, a Zoom meeting, an online forum. What about going to the gym, a workout class, a sporting event, going for a walk, a networking event, a cocktail party, an intimate dinner, black tie, a concert, or a party? So I want to pause there. I'm going to ask you, Lucy, did you see some events that you're like, yeah, I feel really good about those spaces? And did you see some events that you were like,
Yep. So the intimate dinner, I love. The networking event, nope. That's for an introvert. That's like showing the cross to a vampire, because again, that is us spending a lot of energy trying to chit chat and just smile and spend a lot of energy.
All right, I want to go back to see that list. This is a good list. All right, so a couple things. All right, the restaurant, the coffee shop, those are going to be pretty middle of the road. You're going to be sitting at a long table. I always think you need to have 3 good people to have a conversation. Hopefully not 2 people who have inside jokes and been long friends, but you need one person who's very outgoing, another person who's familiar with them, and another person who's a bridge. Coffee shop, that's fine. Bar, I like to be in and out on those ones. I don't want to drink a lot around coworkers. I don't really want to drink a lot in general. The Zoom meetings are the worst. I think those are the worst ones because they want to get you to order, various foods from all of these places, Grubhubs, Uber Eats, whatever, and then sit there looking at a screen and then looking at a camera and then making sure that you're not, choking on your food. It's crazy. Your gym, I don't think outside of like a running club or a lifting club, I don't know what that is. But in general, you need to find out what you're comfortable with and how you're going to be comfortable around this, right? A walking club, I've done that before. It's usually actually, I did that with my grandmother's friends way back in the day. It was fun. They were older ladies who were pretty spirited. Cocktail party, that's good. They're going to expect you to drink. You tell them either, I like to run marathons and have to wake up early for a run, or I don't drink, or I'm sick with something. If you don't, I personally don't like to be intoxicated around people that I work with because I think you have a potential to associate your work relationship as a friendship, and those things can get very muddied if you have somebody who could be particularly vengeful or spiteful or manipulative. And some people do want to climb the ladder, and they'll figure out a way to get you out of the way if they think you're an issue, right? People see it as a zero-sum game, so be careful with that. The intimate dinner, done that. I do enjoy those. Intimate dinners are nice because you really kind of relax a little bit. You're keeping the conversation at a certain level, and you don't really have to veer too far off. And there's usually something along the way where the host or hostess have planned a handful of things to keep the environment moving. Black tie event, I talked about that a little bit. You and your date should probably know what you're doing. So the intimate dinner and black tie event, you want to have a little bit better formal table manners, meaning elbows are not on the table. Really, forearms barely are. You're going to want to know your silverware rules. You basically start on the outside, work your way in. You want to know, the order of food operations, and I don't know if they're going to be catered or not. Right? This is one of these things where it's going to be actually good to talk to the host or hostess, see if they have, if they are doing catered, if they do have a dress code, all of those different things, right? And then refer back to this, see, well, not your shoes. Well, that does matter. And then they let you know what the dress code is. You have a good idea where to go. I always think, I don't like the brown on brown, but I think blue blazer, slacks, like blue blazers and like chinos is always a good look. If you're going a little more formal, your charcoal or your navy suit. That's personally me. And then your concert, I don't think no, I have been to a work concert. That was a weird one. It was an annual retreat, and they had, what was it? I think it was Hootie and the Blowfish or Darius Rucker. I can't remember what performed. And a party, no, you come in, say hi. If you're gonna do that, you come in, you say hi, stay for a drink, and get out. I mean, you want to make, and gosh, a lot of these are just different, but it's good to have these as examples of things to go. All right, so your dress code, we went over that a little bit. Let's see what the ladies say. See if she had a better way to jump through this.
Just put on whatever was clean and comfortable, what you're going to wear the day of. When I had to hire my stylist, one of the things that she told me is I had to learn to dress for the occasion, because I was one of those people that would just put on whatever was clean and comfortable and kind of.
That shocks me. She looks like she's got the pearls, she's got the shawl. Lucchesi's got the necklace. What is that? Like, what is the I can't remember what they call it. Gosh, I can't remember what they call it. They sell those at Tiffany's, but anyways, and she's got the sweater. These are put together ladies. I can't imagine she'd be like sweatpants at an event, but we all grow, whatever.
I wear it everywhere. That's not appropriate, ladies. It doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money, but you want to put some thought into minding the dress code. We talk about that in our finishing school. And if you don't know, ask, okay? Don't just show up in
what I say, ask for a dress code. That is always important because they want everything to work. And you have to think on your end for asking, on the other end, the host or hostess, they want this to turn out well. They have something in their mind's eye of what this is going to look like because they're going to have photos. They're either going to have them with their camera, or if they're like high end enough, they're going to hire someone to take photos. It's ask, always ask.
You think is Sunday best and you look out of place. So make sure you know what you're going to wear. And like Sarah says, plan it down all the way down to the accessories. So she says here, have 1 to 2 outfits that make you look confident in those situations. So one of the other things that I've learned, ladies, again, a lot of this is preparation. So make sure that you have, let's say, something that would fit Sunday best, something that would fit black tie, something that would fit a cocktail party. You don't need a whole wardrobe of gowns, but you do need those outfits. So when you get that invite, you're instantly ready to go and you know what shoes and earrings and bags go with it. The other tip that she gives here is take pictures. So you can take a picture of that complete outfit. When I have an event, my stylist will come help me and she'll put everything on a hanger, including like clipping on the earrings onto the hanger and everything. And she holds it up and I take a picture of it. She'll put the shoes on the floor. So when I'm packing or the day of, I'm not scrambling trying to put something together. I'm like, okay, I need this, and this. So if you
your uniform, right, let me give her
take time now, lady.
All right, that's a better. I don't want to leave her looking all crazy. Yeah, have your uniform ready. Have it out. Know what the socks are, shoes are, your underpants, undershirt. If you do that, I personally say don't go for the undershirt. That's just me. Maybe if it's summer, that's a different thing. And I largely say that just because you want it to drape well, you want it to look good, you want to be in the right position, right? You want to look presentable. Also, for most women, little black dress is always a good one. A nice red dress, knee length, always great. But for most gentlemen, you really only have like two or three things to wear, right? And it's the casual. I mean, the polos are like I say the lowest end casual. I'd usually go the blue shirt with the cuffed up to the mid forearms, and then some chinos. Probably not blue jeans, right? And then oh, make sure your belt matches your shoes, you know, brown belt, brown shoes. Your jacket, your buttons from top to bottom, always, sometimes never. And then if it's summertime, you know, you just leave that thing open. And then your suit, you know, make sure it all looks good, maybe make sure it's fitted, and you can get that tailored, right? So you think you go to, I mean, you go to Macy's and get a decent suit, get it tailored, and be fine, right? I would say the most important thing for a good fitting suit is to be in good shape. It's not going to be the fabric. I mean, you can see our new president or new returning president. He wears $4,000 suits, but they look terrible on him because he's very out of shape and they bunch up in a lot of uncomfortable places. So it's about the shape, it's about the drape, it's about the fit, and that's with all of your clothes, right? But make sure you're comfortable in this so that you can be at your top. You don't want to wear something that didn't fit you. Always have something that you can fall back on that looks good, that fits the occasion. You'll be good to go. Let's keep going. I want to talk to we have the dress code. Oh, your digital footprint. All right, so we've talked a little bit about this. Let's see what the ladies have to say.
We're talking about being, yes, absolutely. And I love what Lucy said about test it out. All right, ladies, this is not the time. We're talking about being that party master. Okay. So this is not the time to bring out the new shoes that you've never worn before. Sarah talks about that. This is not the time to experiment with a brand new lipstick or hair color or anything like that. Just be a little bit more elevated version of yourself so you can stand out for the right reasons. All right, let us continue on.
I say this, right? You see this image right here? In here, you can't see it behind this, but gosh, from their photo that they have as their thumbnail for their channel, they don't look too far off, right? Maggie's hair is tied back versus let loose. That's not, she looks like her. Okay, you can see the bun at the top of her head. Do you see the bun over this? She looks like her. It's presentable, clean cut, looks nice. They're not going crazy. You should kind of stick to that. You should kind of have your look down.
So we want to avoid the day of stress. All right, so social media.
And sorry, I didn't want to say that to say about them and about the women. I said that about the guy. You should have a look that you're ready for, right? For most guys kind of know what their look is, right? If it's a low-cut Caesar, bald head, well-tended dreads, locks, whatever, make sure it's neat. Make sure you look good, look presentable. Have the beard trimmed up, right? Have everything oiled, manicured, nails trimmed. What else? Teeth whitened. If you're using a tongue scraper, something along those lines that you look as best as possible. Lips moisturized, hands moisturized, right? Nail beds cleaned, all of these different things, right? They add up into, because people check. And I'll say this, you're going to a mixed event with women and men. Women check. Women are very fastidious about this type of stuff. They notice this stuff, right? And they're going to say, wow, this girl is with this guy who's unkempt. What's going on with him? What's going on with her? It's this big circle of how you interact. It really does matter. So you kind of look the image, make sure your image matches what they imagine, and people won't think that you're asynchronous.
That is a big part of being social. We talk about this in the finishing school, not only for events, but like I said, when you are invited to these events, you know, people are sometimes exchanging business cards. If it is a business event, sometimes you may run into an investor, a potential boss, a potential, you know, husband or wife. You just never know. And her advice in this ebook guide is to scrub your social media of any of those things. You all know, if you wouldn't want your mother to see it, don't have it out there. So if you have any of these type of crazy pictures and selfies, it's time to let it go. Remember, we talked about having that person.
So I basically have one social media that I'm active on for work, which is LinkedIn, and then a bunch of other stuff for my personal stuff. Well, probably two really. And I watch, and I have photos or cartoon characters, much like you'll see here, right? Like I really don't like to mess around with like being too out there, but the photo, clean background, think from the upper chest up, nice smile, nice light on you, and then have it edited. It's worth it. If you have somebody who does some film work, some photo work, it always helps. It presents you well.
personal brand, and you want to show up consistently, especially ladies, those of you all who want relationships. One of the number one things men look for is consistency. And the modern world that we live in, when you meet somebody, one of the first places they're going to go is to look you up online. Now, if you don't have a profile, that's fine too. But if you do, just make sure that it represents you in a way that you want to be remembered, either before the event, if you're going to be introduced to someone, or after the event, if you've made an elegant impression and then they look you up online and you are in an unattractive pose. All right.
Yeah, no beer bongs, no low cut tops with your whatever with your parts out. You really want to look kind of presentable and professional. That's really the way you want to go. That's for the men too, right? You don't need to have the jersey from, you know, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. You kind of want to be synchronous with post 30 years old. The ball caps have to go. The jerseys have to go. Unless you're like at an event, you really have to look your age. I mean, hey, it's unfortunate, but it's also kind of reassuring. That means you don't have to be as trendy. You can stick with classic, timeless looks. And it makes a lot more sense the longer term you go, where you can kind of blend in and then your ideas can stand out more. And then you look professional, you look clean, you look good, right? And then ladies go in a little bit more about the grooming.
Again, we want to talk about preparing for these social network events. Ladies, your hygiene is a huge part of being a feminine woman. Okay, so make sure that you've taken care of those things. You don't just want to go, like my man says, smelling like all day. We shouldn't have to say it, but ladies, when you are around people, we are animals, we are primal, right? So it is important that you show up clean and groomed and smelling nice. You're going to be shaking hands. I call it shaking hands and kissing babies, right? You're going to be around people. I work in tech and I do work from home. I get up and put myself together every day, but unfortunately,
same here. I have my uniform that I wear for home. And it does set a place for you to have a mindset that I'm at work, I am working. I have a separate space, I have a separate work uniform. It's 6 p.m. So I'm actually wearing like more relaxed clothing. But yeah, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, that I am working and working well.
A lot of tech people can just kind of let themselves go because they're in front of the computer all the time. I don't think that's okay, but especially when we have these end of year events, you want to make sure that you put that extra effort into it, because when you're meeting people for the first time, whether it's for the first time ever or it's the first time in person, maybe they've only been interacting with you virtually, you want that to be a good impression. So ladies, take care. And again, this comes to time. So be sure that you're moisturized, your hands are, great for shaking hands. Make sure you've taken care of, any grooming, make sure all of that kind of stuff is done, mints, deodorant, whatever you need to do. And like she says, make sure your shoes are comfortable. You're probably going to be doing a lot of standing at these events. Unless it's a dinner party, maybe you're going to be sitting, but usually at these type of networking events, you're going to be greeting people. So from head to toe, you want to make sure that you feel comfortable and others around you feel comfortable. So ask a close friend, a trusted friend. They will let you know if you need to take care of anything before you go around people, because you would just hate for people to be talking like, man, she needs to put some deodorant on.
Yeah.
Don't want that. What would you?
Yeah. So I was going to let her go. Yeah. All of that reflects on the men, right? I said that earlier. Good shower. Get your loofah sponge. Get yourself nice and scrubbed. Your deodorant, your lotions, your nails. Get them trimmed. Teeth. You don't have to whiten them, but make sure they're as clean as possible. If you have like a home dental kit, you can do some tartar removal if you have that issue, which everyone does. We all drink coffee and eat foods that have sugars in them. That's gonna happen, right? But get yourself as good as possible. You can do little things to make yourself look as presentable as possible. And then when you get to the place, make sure you have your deodorant or some type of or antiperspirant if that's what you're gonna do. Be ready to shake hands. Be ready to listen. Be able to be engaged with the people. We'll see what Miss Lucchese has to say.
Do you add, Lucy?
And I love the part that she talks about having comfortable shoes. You don't want to be the one at the party that's standing in the corner rubbing your feet because your shoes are killing you. That one person might remember you by saying, "Oh yeah, remember that was the one that took her shoes off because she couldn't walk after she was wearing them." Again, it's that branding. How do people see you? Make sure that you're comfortable. I mean, there are beautiful comfort shoes that you can wear. Or there are those that I think that they come in a little bag, and they're flats that you can bend and whatever, and you can have them in your purse as maybe an alternative once the party is kind of shutting down. You can wear those and change them over the high heel shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I recommend these shoes right here because they got the wide toe box. Let me see if I can point this. If they have the Man, I used to find, all right, so this is this flat foot. It's basically a minimalist shoe, dress shoe, whatever. I'm not gonna get okay. So here's the image right here. All right. So normal dress shoes have you pinched up right here. Your toes are squishing together. You wind up having feet that look like Shaq's or LeBron James, right? These have the wider toe box. Your feet can kind of relax, stay open. You wind up feeling a lot better wearing them, honestly. Women have a different thing. They have to wear heels. If I had to wear heels, I'd probably jump off a roof. I'd probably have my shoes off. Well, I'd definitely have my shoes off, right? But I've seen a lot of women who do that after like 2, 3, 4 hours. Their shoes are off. They're in slides. They're in the little ballet flats. I mean, when I lived in New York, lived in DC, I mean, women would be in their New Balances, walking to work, and then they get off, change into that 1 inch heel, and be ready to be at their desk and do whatever they have to do. So yeah, you have to have a level of comfort to do all this type of stuff, and a lot of that is going to make you more friendly, more personable. I mean, if your feet hurt and your body hurts, you're not going to be that friendly.
That is such a good point.
Let's see. Let me go to next one. Let's go. Let's go a little ahead. Yeah. All right. So this is important. I think this is a good one.
Ladies, and if you are at a cocktail party and you're standing there over the corner in the corner with your drink and you just kind of look like it's not warm and welcoming, and you could be one of those people that's just like, oh yeah, well, I'm nice once you get to know me. Nobody's really going to swim over broken glass and climb the tower walls just to get you to say, hello, happy holidays. And again, like Lucy said, if you're with your man or your significant other, this could be his colleagues. This could be, his boss. This could be his company where he wants to maybe get promoted or get a special assignment, and he's there with you looking how you look. So I would say if you can't be pleasant, don't go and bring people down. If you know that you have a shorter, time frame when you can be pleasant, I got 2 hours, and then you need to make an elegant exit, that's fine. What I teach ladies to do, if you completely relax your face, you will know what your neutral face looks like. That's my neutral face. So you can do this in the mirror, and I would encourage you to make different faces and smile. I know I have a big toothy smile. That's not always appropriate, but you can just lighten your face a little bit when people are talking and do like a partial smile or kind of give a little bit of a nod or just something that shows that, no harm here. I'm interested to get to know you. I'm happy to be here. Even if you have to fake it a little bit till you make it, but that leaves a huge impression with people. So if you have one of those faces that people are always asking you, what's wrong with you? Why are you mad? And you're like, I'm not mad. That is your feedback, ladies. That is your cue. You can choose to do something about it or not. What would you add, Lucy?
And start practicing every day before you leave work. Look at your face, your neutral face, and then maybe add just a little bit of a smile and stay with that smile. And I'm telling you, people will react differently when they see that slight change on your face. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Your look should be inviting, right? I say for men, no more than one hand in a pocket, right? If you have something else, have a glass with some club soda in it so you look like you're drinking and you're having a good time. Have a wry smile. Think Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption. He's at the end where he's smiling at the ocean, right? It's kind of a knowing I won smile. Because you did win, right? You're at the office party. You probably did great. Your bonus just came in. You're not going to put in the pool, so you're going to go on a small vacation. This is great, right? So you have to put up with 2 hours of kind of schmoozing and hobnobbing. And I tell people, if you're not a natural outgoing person, you have to do simple things like just say, hey, how's it going? Been a minute. You have to find turns of phrase that can invite a conversation. Not so much that you're going to like try and jump in at things, but if you recognize somebody, they ask how you're doing, you should also be the person to ask how they're doing. And if you're not an outgoing person at all, I tell you the two things three things that really help me. If you're afraid of public speaking, in a big social session, if they're asking you to do like a mini presentation or something along those lines, Toastmasters is always good. You can go to meetup.com, get on Toastmasters, get on their meeting invite, and they'll help you be able to speak extemporaneously pretty well. All right. If you want more human interaction, sign up, go to your local comedy club, sign up for an improv or a sketch comedy group. One, it'll help you to really understand how to interact with people and play games, because a lot of that is, if you can think of the show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? A lot of those were like classic improv games that they were just really good at and were well known enough that they got to do that as a living, right? And they'll teach you all these different types of games, always say yes, right? or never say no, right? So all those different types of things. Yes, and is a great way to look at how to continue a conversation. And the third thing I'd say is if you really want to go deep, you can sign up for an acting class at your community college or local university. I took several, and one of them was really good, was a Meisner technique, which was exceptional in that you got to communicate with people, basically repeating one or two lines back and forth to each other. So much so that when you would stop, so how do I explain this? You would repeat the lines over and over and over and over to each other, right? The same two lines back and forth that you would have in the exchange, where the words themselves didn't actually mean anything, but the engagement was more about the body language, the scent, the smell, how the person was actually portraying themselves to you. Were they tired of saying this? Were they getting a rise out of saying this? Were they entertained by saying this? Were they amused by saying this? There's different things that people communicate more effectively by observing body language. And so it taught me a lot more about how that body language actually matters within the conversation. It's one of those subtle things that you notice, but you don't really think about explicitly. And so it was a great way to say, oh, there is a way that you should carry yourself. There is a way that you should engage with people. So it can help you kind of shape how you perceive yourself, how you show yourself to the world. And I say this, if you really want to be good, record yourself in a conversation and listen back to it. And you might think that sounds kind of weird. It can help you better understand how you communicate yourself to the world and how others interpret you, right? Do you sound like you're articulating yourself well? Do you sound like you slur your words? There's a bunch of different ways. Now, in the best case of this, the best case I've seen this help, and then others have done this, is Eddie Murphy was relatively famous, relatively young, I think like 20 years old, which he hit the jackpot, right? And he used to record himself at these, crappy hole in the wall Long Island nightclubs doing comedy sets for drunk old dudes. But he would record himself, find out where he was hitting, where he was missing, and he perfected himself at how he was going to perform that craft. Made him into who he was by doing that one little tweak to analyze what he does right and what he does wrong. I don't know if you would want to record yourself in a conversation, but I'm saying this is a type of thing you could think of as what you present yourself to the world as, and then analyze yourself and be critical. It can always help. I mean, it could hurt, but I would say it can definitely help.
Could not agree more. All right, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Feel free to ask your.
All right, I think I probably asked my question here. Let me see. Let me see if someone said anything in the chat. Yeah, I got a couple of folks watching. Nobody's in the chat yet, or nobody's in the chit chat. So that's fine. That's fine. Got a couple more. All right. Let's go to this one. Introductions, right? I like this. A couple minutes. I wish there was a quicker way to jump through this. I was looking a little bit after work. All right, let's go. Oh, there you go.
Ready to touch them. Okay, that's fine. Oh, thank you so much. I am just Jules. Looking forward to the playback.
You're
really
welcome.
enjoy watching these. We appreciate the super chat, but honestly, I thought my comments were frozen because it's been pretty quiet, which is fine. Some of y'all are watching from the clouds, hopefully taking notes, but we appreciate it. This is our calling to give back. Okay, so we were talking about the handshake. So ladies, if you're going to go to these events, you're going to be meeting and greeting people, all right? So you want to know if it's a family event, maybe it's in-laws, maybe it's a holiday party at someone's home, maybe you're hugging, maybe you're doing the, air kisses on the cheek. If it's a company party or a business event or a fundraiser or networking, you may be exchanging business cards, you may be shaking hands. So you want to be prepared, you want to know what's culturally appropriate, and you want to practice. So a good handshake, yes, thank you so much. A good handshake is not too hard and not too soft. It's just right. And
very important. I mean, observe what people are doing as they introduce themselves. Some people like the hug, some people like the handshake. I always give a good handshake for the men, a nice handshake for the women. I try to go a little bit softer because women tend to have, thinner hands, less muscle around their hands. And so you don't want to shake their hands too hard. Some guys, like, they get in there and really shake your hand like they're trying to grip it and rip it. Women, you really can't do that too. And hopefully you know that, but I've seen that happen, right? The side cheek kiss, I've had that happen a handful of times, and I'm comfortable enough with that. But I rarely see that outside of Europeans, of certain extract, usually Spaniards, French, some Italians, right? But the ones who are over here, who have been in the U.S. for a long time, don't really do that so much, unless they're with their fellow countrymen, and then that's their own thing, right? So Good handshake, sometimes a hug. And this is a good time where you can repeat that person's name when they tell, hey, Bob, nice to meet you. What department were you again? That's right. You were in accounting, right? And you repeat that repetition of their name, that introduction helps to cement who they are because repetition is the key to learning or a key to learning.
And the history, one of the things that I love learning about the history of etiquette. Back in the past, when men were armed, shaking hands or extending your hand was a sign to say, I am unarmed, I come in peace. Remember, I said a lot of this is primal. We don't even know why we do these things. So when you shake hands with someone, number one, make sure you're standing, make sure you make eye contact, and your grip is firm. It shows a confidence. It shows a also like a vulnerability, and that skin to skin contact you'll see in in Sarah's book. It releases oxytocin, which just means it helps us to bond with people. All right. So just knowing this before you go places, so you're not just like, oh, hi, oh, you don't want to look like the weird person. All right. If you can't go with the flow, I would say don't go. It would be better to just send your regrets than to be that person that's just like, all right. So keep your hand free, make eye contact, take your sanitizer, do whatever you have to. But that's a big part of networking. What would you add, Lucy?
What I would say is don't get yourself comfortable just saying your regrets or saying no to things. Push yourself to getting into those uncomfortable situations, because that's the way you will learn. Again, I learned so much from my previous boss a long time ago. He was the one who told me, Lucy, you need to get into teaching because you're going to be able to speak to people. And because he knew he's an introvert too. So he was the one who pushed me into doing things that made me so uncomfortable. But it allowed me to practice and not feel as awkward or just uncomfortable in situations that I would have been okay saying no to. But again, don't feel comfortable saying no to everything, because then you're still going to be that weird person that you're not going to be around other people. You're going to be awkward in social activities. So again, push yourself into going to those situations. Time yourself. I can be there for a couple of hours, and then I will, tell the host that I have another event coming and I have to go. Just get an exit strategy, but make yourself go to those situations, because that's the only way you can learn to be a little more personable.
Such great advice. And I'm so glad. Aren't we so thankful for Lucy's former boss? Because now she is one of the best teachers, my court appointed chaperone, and our favorite introvert, because we need Lucy. We love Lucy. I love Lucy. But yes, ladies, now some of us, came out of the womb just shaking hands and kissing babies. But if you...
That's not most of us. So get comfortable when you're uncomfortable. You'll warm up to it. It is a routine. Like very few, like here's an example. I get up in the morning, I work out very early. I don't like it. I like the end results. It helps to do this and make yourself feel useful and started early. Sometimes I might miss a day, but that's fine. But the overall thing is you get out of your comfort zone and create a new one. If you can do that, you'll be light years ahead of other folks. Let's go a little ahead. Because they went into a lot more greetings. You should be comfortable with that. You should be able to introduce yourself. You should be able to start conversations, which I put the link in the description. So I think you should go look at this, get some good insight, because a lot of this is very general, but then there's specific points towards women, right? So it tries to help in general how people should present themselves, how they should become ingratiating and work within the room, but then also there's a little more specificity towards the ladies. So that's why I said, hey, I love this. I wanted to respond. Let's go to this. I talked about this earlier. Let's go to
next promotion. Just err on the side of just be more conservative rather than, oh, free drinks, we can have it all.
Boom. One. I say one and done. If you're a heavyweight, you know what? You got other things you got to worry about. I think one glass of wine, maybe two. If it's a summer afternoon and you're at the barbecue, maybe two, maybe three. But remember, you always have the excuse of saying, I have to drive, or I'm breastfeeding, or I'm running a marathon, or something along those lines. You really don't want to be too loose with your colleagues. If it's one of those situations where they want you to get loose because they want to have something on you, this is going to be bad. This is a situation where, you embarrass yourself. This could be bad. You really don't want to have an embarrassing situation at work. You have to remember you work with these people. They're not your friends, but you can be friendly with them. Let's see.
You all have seen it. Free food, free drinks, and people act like they haven't eaten all year. It is so embarrassing. We have a whole section in the finishing school. Again, registration is open. We only teach it twice a year. You all can join us in January. We'll teach it again. Go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. We will be having our graduation, huge graduation celebration, and a very generous sponsor sending us on a yacht cruise where we can practice some of these things in our environment. And we talk about how ladies should prepare in detail for these events. But I agree, if you know you are a lightweight, and even if you can tolerate your liquor, like Lucy said, this is not the time. Oftentimes, ladies, people observe how we act in these environments. When there is an open bar, when there is a buffet of the cocktail shrimp, this is not the time to indulge in everything.
Here's another thing. All right. You can do club soda online. I think that is good. If people ask you, are you drinking? Because they're going to see that. You're going to expect you to be drinking vodka tonic. Here's a tip. Get drinks that are basically aperitifs and have those mixed with club soda. So, most alcohols that people drink, you think your big boys, your vodka, rum, tequila, gin, whatever, those are 80 proof, making them 40%. Your aperitifs are going to be 40 proof, making them 20%, meaning they're only a little bit stronger than a glass of wine, right? Actually, a little less stronger. Well, it's about the same. I think most wines are like 15 to 20%. An aperitif would be about 20%, right? You can get, and there's some that are weaker too, like elderflower stuff, elderflower liqueurs, and you get that mixed with a little club soda. Then it looks like it smells like you're drinking alcohol, but it's not that powerful. It looks like you're drinking alcohol, especially if you have something like a Campari and soda, right? And so people think, oh, you're drinking something that's a little interesting. They'll ask you why, and you can give them a little story of, oh, I had a bunch of these when I was in Italy for this, summer school in, grad school, something along those lines, right? And that way you're keeping it light, you're keeping it refreshing. It can fit in with the theme of the party, and you won't get too inebriated. And so you'll be able to have good control of yourself. You might be a little bit loose, but you won't be out of control. Remember, you don't want to have an embarrassing situation. Like my former colleague, you don't want to mess yourself. And you don't want to have a situation where you have to get a cab called, right? And not in a good way, where they have to throw you in the cab, right? So be careful with that.
Maybe a glass of wine with a meal, or maybe a welcome champagne, or like Lucy said, you don't have to drink at all. But what you don't want to do ever is get sloppy drunk or be that person that's stuffing extra food in their bag. You will be remembered for years to come as that person with the bad behavior, and your man, it could cost him dearly. Don't do that.
That lady, I just looked at my email. That happened back in 2008, and I still remember that. I remember when we were at the party. I remember how she exited herself. Never saw her again. I still remember. That's almost 17 years ago. Like, really think about that. And people I know who were at that event, they also talk about that, right? And that's almost 20 years, right? I've not looked her up on Facebook or anything like that, but it still sticks in my head. So, carry yourself well, and people will remember you fondly and not like a nightmare.
Do this to your husband. Maybe you eat a little something before you go. If they offer you something, you can have a little bite or two, but this is not the time to embarrass yourself with indulging. Take it from the person who likes to eat. You don't do that out there and embarrass yourself. All right, so we talked about having a plan, having a little bit of a pep talk. So we're here for the party. All right, now for the main event. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so we have a handful of things. I want to see if this is on my list. Yeah, okay. This is the party. This is the entrance. This is actually very important. How are you going to come in, right? You pay for the concierge parking, get there, pay for the coat check, you checked in, you introduce yourself to people at the foyer if this is a private event, or you go to your table if this is a semi-private event.
All right. Oh my goodness, time is just flown by. Let me just go through some of these. A lot of it is preparation. All right. So she talks about where to stand at the event, where to greet people, places that have a lot of foot traffic, or where you can kind of position yourself in the room. All right. So places to avoid. You don't want to be like right at the bar or right at the food area, because that's where people are kind of doing their transactions or the coat check. Give people time to arrive, give people time to kind of put up their coat, maybe get their drink or get their plate of food, and then you can start to socialize. All right. You don't want to pounce on people as soon as they hit the door, and you don't want to be tucked away in the back where nobody's going to see you. All right. Especially if you can't stay long, try to find a prominent place where you can see and be seen. bring a gift. We talk about this in the finishing school. If you are ever invited to someone's home for the first time, bring a little something, just something. It could be a book, it could be, some hand soap, something that can be used at the event, but you don't just want to show up empty-handed. If you're going to an event that's at a venue, make sure you thank the host. So if this is paid for by the company or someone's putting it on together, say, oh, this was a lovely event. Thank you so much for having me. What would you add, Lucy?
And be thoughtful about that. A gift that you bring, you don't want it to be so small that it's going to be insignificant, but you also don't want to show off with something amazingly expensive, because again, other people are watching, and you just don't want to be that show off, coming in with a Cartier watch or a bracelet to give to the host. So again, just be mindful about the occasion, and whether it's business or it's personal, just do your research and find out why are the best gifts to take to such and such occasion.
I love that.
Yeah. So this is good. One, yeah, stand in a good place, not by the bar, not by the bathroom. That's great, right? Where you see there's some foot traffic nearby, you can introduce yourself. People say, "Oh, this is Jules from accounting. This is Maggie from IT. This is Kaisley from HR." Right? You got to figure out where are you going to be, and they're going to introduce yourself, and have like a nice, pleasant smile about you. A gift, I think that's a great idea. And it depends on the occasion, right? If it's at a private formal event, at another event, that might be a little more difficult. It might not be expected. I don't think it typically is. If it's at someone's home and it's an informal or formal event, yeah, I think something in that $20 to $50 range is well worth it, right? Some specialty olives, specialty crackers and cheese. Let them know that the olives are pitted or not pitted. Special, nice bottle of wine or two. Just let them know, oh, I really love this grape. Let them know that, very few people are, well, I'm not going to project that one. A lot more people drink than don't. So a bottle of wine that's nice, not your $2 chuck, is going to be fine, right? I'd say a nice red, nice white. Let them, tell them, hey, you want to serve this? Set this to chill for about 20 minutes and they'll be fine to go. And if it's like an informal backyard barbecue, onion dip and chips, like some really good ones from, if you're on the West Coast, Air One, East Coast, your Whole Foods, your Fresh Market, something along those lines. If it's like a barbecue, you can bring skewers and just say, hey, everybody loves these. Have them prepped in a little jar or a little container. Say, hey, these are good. There's some veggie ones, there's some meat ones. People love picking off of those, right? You want to basically contribute. And I always say, if it's informal or if it's at somebody's house, again, ice, always important. Just bring ahead, say, hey, I'm on my way. Do you need ice? Because a lot of times that is the one thing that always runs out.
Absolutely love that. So yes, do your research. Some gifts would be a little bit too intimate, right? You wouldn't bring somebody a fragrance or maybe something that you made from home unless you know them well. All right. So we talked about eye contact. We talked about, okay, bring a gift. Make sure you make eye contact, especially when you're meeting people. And then names. I know this is tough for a lot of people. You may forget names, but really listen to people. And they say the key is if someone tells you their name, try to repeat it back immediately. So if I say, oh, hi, my name is Maggie. Maggie, it's a pleasure to meet you. But it's just repetition. If you ever forget.
Great minds. Yeah, this is a trick politicians play. They use this to ingratiate themselves, and they use this to actually get their name in your head, especially if you're somebody who's a heavy donor, should be a notable figure. They'll use this to get you in their memory bank, in your memory palace, so they can actually recall who you are and pin it to some idea about you. So try and figure out what your profession is, something about you that they can kind of associate these relationships with, right? It really does work. So repetition, repetition, repetition.
Someone's name, what I tell ladies to do, because it happens, you don't want to, stumble and act like you didn't forget. You don't want to just say, what was your name again? That kind of shows a little bit of disrespect because you weren't paying attention. What you can say is, please remind me your name.
That was a great addition. Great addition.
And then immediately say it back because that at least acknowledges that they have said their name and you're just asking them to repeat it kindly. All right. It happens to all of us. It's not the end of the world, but don't start beatboxing like it didn't just happen. All right.
Yeah. Take accountability for it. And you could also have your spouse introduce themselves so that they get that person's name. And then they say, oh, well, why didn't you tell me? You play the game with them. Let's go ahead a little bit. I only had a handful of more. Let me see. Let's go. Uh-oh. I thought I had a good internet connection. Is this getting a little cagey? All right, let's go right here. Yeah, I think it's good.
Here's another tip: stay close to the host, or ask the host, is there anybody at this party that I should kind of be aware of? All right, so if you're nervous about meeting people on your own, when you go to greet the host, say, hey, let me know if you know anybody that would be good for me to talk to, or kind of stay in eye shot of the host at the event, so as people are mixing and mingling, you should be like, oh, have you met Maggie, and kind of feed people to you. All right, so you're not just standing there.
This is really important because the part of this is building relationships. It could be it could be professional, it could be personal, or just generally social, right? But people want to know you, people want to know what you do because you can be useful to people. I used to carry 10 business cards with me when I go to events like this, and then hope that have all of them gone and have 10 new ones, and then be able to call those people up later that week or in the next 2 weeks and be able to establish, hey, met you about this, and you can get them. Thankfully, a lot of people actually have like a silhouette of their picture or something along those lines, but it gives you a way. And with LinkedIn nowadays, you can remember that person, see if there's something that you can do with them. This is a way that you can flesh out your network a lot more. And it really helps you develop those social skills and those business skills.
Like a bump on a log wonder, what do I do and who do I talk to? So again, a really great guide, highly recommend it. We wanted to give you all some highlights here, but Sarah's got some great tips for you. Ladies, ditch the phone. This one right here is terrible body language. It would be better if you're at an event and you just had it, maybe to go outside and just go get some fresh air, or if you had to sit in the corner with an actual book. But this,
100% agree. 100% agree. The only exception is if you're like parents with young children, like very young children, then you schedule time. But outside of that, the phone stays in your wallet, stays in your jacket pocket, stays in your purse. That it takes you out of the moment because people get hypnotized by their phones very easily, and you're not there to look at phones in a room with other people looking at their phones. You're there to meet people, to get to know about each other. You're there to ask questions, ask clarifying questions, see if there's some things you have in common, see if there's some things that you might need their help with, that they might need your help with. You're trying to establish relationships and build out a network of people you really want to get to know.
it is a it is so unattractive and so off-putting, because here's the thing, ladies, you might be bored, but nobody's going to stop and come be like, oh, I haven't seen you here before. How do you know the host? Yeah. Okay. Put the phone away, put it on silent. You'll be okay for a couple of hours. I still exchange with business cards, but the phone is just such a turn off when people are trying to have an actual conversation. That message will wait, that social media notification will wait. Try to be present, and then when you leave, you can get caught up on all of that. What would you add, Lucy?
And again, it's going to make you different than all of the other ones that are looking at their phone. If you're just sitting there and enjoying the party, and even if you're by yourself, standing or sitting somewhere and you're smiling and you're just looking around, and this happened to me in Miami with my extroverted sisters, and I'm the only introvert. We went to this party somewhere where it was chaos everywhere. So I found a little spot in the corner with a little round table, and I was just sitting there, just smiling and watching and looking at people, going by, and people would come to my table. Hi, can I put this over here? And then it was that friendly kind of thing. No, go ahead, leave it here. I'll take care of it. People will come to you when you're not going on your phone, and when you show that just, happy to be here, even if you're alone, that's great.
Such a great tip. And those of you all who don't feel comfortable approaching others, what Lucy did is perfect for the introverts. So find a place where you feel comfortable, kind of have your post, but you're still in the mix. People can see you, and just having that, what do we talk about? That pleasant disposition. So again, practice, look in the mirror, record yourself speaking, and see if you just look like you are ready to go, or if you actually are engaging, and just kind of smile. Maybe if there's music playing, you're just kind of, enjoying, just happy with yourself. It is amazing how other people will come check on you. Other, wait staff or the host will be like, oh, is everything okay? They will just kind of just be drawn to you because you look happy to be there. I'm telling y'all, it works wonders. And you never know that
Yeah, this is about looking inviting and ingratiating, right? She talked about it earlier, right? For women, a nice, mildly toothsome smile can be very inviting. You look healthy, you look glowing. That always works. For men, one hand in the pocket, one in the beverage. You're, swaying to the music, right? Have a wry smile on your face, like the Andy Dufresne smile. You're able to look like people want to actually have a conversation with you. I'd say avoid jumping into a group of 5, 6 people and they're like raucous and laughing, unless they nod and bring you over or something like that. If it's 2 or 3 people and they're crying, I'd avoid that. But there's usually a little small pocket where there's a couple of people having an interesting conversation. You slide up to them and introduce yourself. Very simple stuff. Hey, I saw you all over here. Figured I'd introduce myself. Very easy stuff, right? And then you start finding out about each other. You understand each other. Hopefully your spouse is there. She can actually do that for you. Like they just pointed out, people like talking to women a little bit more than they like talking to men. So it's an unspoken rule, but women are a lot more inviting. People expect certain things about women, like they're just people have a preconceived notion about women that they don't necessarily have with men. That is a benefit for them. And if your woman is on your side and a great social animal, it can really benefit you. So there's this push-pull thing, but you have to be inviting. And if she's someone who's outgoing, it can bring you into more worlds. So it really does help to have all this thing and be able to do it. Even with someone, well, I think Maggie's the extrovert, Lucy's the introvert, right? So they're kind of spelling that out from your perspective. So you just have to be able to put yourself out there and have someone else who's willing to walk with you.
Gentlemen who might be, a little bit quieter may approach you because you look like, it's just wonderful where you are. Or not. Let's see what else Sarah has to say. So put your phone away, ladies. We talked about the body language. This is where Sarah is a perfect teacher. So I'm going to let you all read this on your own, but your posture is huge. Your body language is a language. It communicates a lot about you. All right. She talks about introducing people to
yeah, so men, that's going to be the Superman pose to a degree, right? Shoulders back, chest out, nice smile, and people see you in that position a lot more like you want them to see you. It's something about that pose that does work. You don't necessarily have to have your arms crossed. I would actually recommend you don't, but you can have one arm at your side, maybe one at your chest, right? But with your shoulders back, chest out, it's an intuitive thing. People respect it. It seems like you have stature. It seems like you have poise and strength.
Bringing people together in introductions. Ladies, I would also practice your own introduction. All right. So when people come to meet you, hi, I'm Maggie. Oh, Maggie, you're not really supposed to ask what do people do, but if, have a few things that you feel comfortable talking about yourself. What are your passions? What are your hobbies? Some things that you may not lead with it, but if people ask you, you have a few topics that you can, draw people to your travel, your passion projects. So you're not just like, oh yeah, I work in customer service on the second floor. Okay, that got awkward really fast. Like, do you have a pulse? Hello, is anybody there? Take it from your extrovert. I see these people and I don't want you all to be these people. All right. So make sure you have some things in your back pocket that you're ready to talk about, whether you're introducing yourself or being introduced. We talked about finding things that bring people together. All right. So there are things that we all have in common. And then I love this, what Lucy said, that superpower. Ladies, our feminine superpower is being helpful, is being useful. All right. So if you're not much of a talker, see what you can do. If someone says, oh my gosh, I'm new to this area, she says, offer a recipe. I love that. But, oh, you know what? There's a great Christmas parade, the second Saturday of every month. You can check it out at the town square. Have some information. So if you listen to people and they're talking, this is a great skill, ladies. It's not just being cute. Find a way to be useful. Find a way to be helpful. If you have information, if you have a skill set that will help people remember you for the right reasons, or like Lucy did, just be the person. Sure, you can leave your bag here. Sure, no problem. I'll watch it while you go dance every song on the dance floor. Maggie, yes, go. We will be right here. What would you add, Lucy?
And that goes back to also being aware, situational awareness, making sure that you know where you are, making sure that you're looking at people in the eye, making sure you're just, again, being aware of your surroundings and paying attention. My husband, he would have a heart attack if he knew that I'm out there not paying attention and looking at things without, just being aware of the world. So
I call this being in the world and not of it, right? Like we're all of the world, but you have to be present in the world and be able to be engaged with people. You need to be able to see what's going on to respond to it. You don't get to be witty if you're not paying attention. You don't get to be funny if you're not paying attention, right? A lot of it is, undercutting a little bit of what actually is being observed and being able to showcase some of this stuff, right? When you're present, when you're available, you're actually able to engage with other people in a really good way. And it gets people to see what aspects of your personality are actually active versus whether you're just a passive drone in the world. You don't want to be a drone. This gives you an opportunity. If you're a guy, if you're there without someone, this is a good time when you might meet someone, right? Because a woman will leave a very subtle handkerchief drop. And it doesn't happen. Actually, it does happen. A lot of people don't talk about it, but if you're single and she's single, suddenly things will start to happen in your favor. Women are very good about that if they are interested in you, about making things very simple for you to meet up at a later date or later on that evening or whatever. They want to actually meet someone who's interesting. And a lot of times, this is a good opportunity if you're on the single side. If you're not, this is a good idea for actually how to make friends, expand your network, and grow as a person and a professional. And these work both ways, right? Because people want to be around people, or at least around good people.
Again, and then again, for ladies that are looking for that special person might be looking at you, and you're going to be looking out, and then you're going to lock eyes, and then that's going to be the opportunity to say hi, and then that's the opening. That's your handkerchief throwing, and he's going to come and pick it up and start that conversation. That's all it takes for you to have that, welcoming face, lock eyes, and say, "Oh, that's the guy I like, and he likes me. Hi." That's all it takes.
That's all it takes, ladies.
Yeah, because I think they were making it seem, well, I guess one, it takes a lot for a lady to like send her signals. I understand that, right? But a lot of times they'll make it easier for you to understand that they're interested because they're actually still talking to you, because they have an opportunity to go wherever they'd like to. So do you. But this is very simple stuff, and it seems like we're in an era where people. So here's a side story. Did you know that at least 3 times in history we've forgotten how to cure scurvy? Very simply, eat a piece of citrus fruit, right? We've forgotten how to do that. Somebody just forgot to write it down. Seems like in the past 50 years, we forgot how to formulate simple relationships that could develop into meaningful ones. You know what else we've also forgotten? We've forgotten how to make the paperclip. No, the safety pin. We forgot how to make the safety pin several times throughout history because nobody documented it, just thought we'd remember it, and it just slipped away, right? A lot of these things are very simple, very easy. People want them. People like them. Everyone likes a lemon, an orange, a lime, a safety pin. Very useful, very fantastic to have around for multiple uses. Just try it, and you'll start to pass these things on. It's sometimes the most complicated things or the most simple things become extra complicated. Really don't have to be. We have one more segment, and this is I think is one people forget about, but I'll add another.
Still like writing thank you notes, but before you leave an event, you don't just come, eat, drink, and be merry and go home. Take time to find either the host of the event, or if it's a company event, whoever the senior person is or your manager, and just say thank you. Just say thank you for having me. This was wonderful. Even if you didn't like the food, they didn't have to have a holiday party at all. So be gracious and say thank you. And then follow up if you want to stay connected. Maybe you've exchanged business cards at a networking event. This is another reason why listening for those little details, it's an in to go ahead and follow up and connect with someone. All right. So if you felt a little awkward in the moment, but you heard them say that they just came back from Italy, or that's one of their bucket list countries, that's a great way to open up a reconnection. And then think about how you did. All right. Analyze, did I meet at least 1 or 2 new people? What could I have done better? Did I just blow past and forget everybody's name? Or did I actually remember to shake hands? How did I feel? Was it an environment that I thrive in? Neutral? Or did I feel like I was in survival mode? She's got some questions there you all can ask yourself about all of the things that we covered. So, Lucy, what would you add as we close out?
Again, this is something that you don't have to try it all at once. It's baby steps, especially if you're an introvert and you're trying to get yourself out there in the world. Just try a couple of those tips and see how it works. I bet you if you try 1 or 2, you're going to feel more comfortable to try 2 more the next time. It's just baby steps. And later on, you're going to be much more comfortable being in an environment that's really not your environment, but you will be comfortable enough to spend a couple of hours within that environment.
Wonderful. I see you on Instagram. You said you love the tips. I'm glad this is helpful. We definitely want to give you all some tangible things that you can use. It's that time of year. Whatever you celebrate or not, there's probably going to be some type of event, even if it's an end of year winter celebration that you will go to. And you never know. Someone is always seeing you for the first time. That's what my stylist said, especially in this modern world that we live in. Someone is often seeing you for the first time in person. So see if you can make a positive impression with your brand. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Lucy and I like to come on twice a week for you all, usually Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Miss you
let me.
You all last week because I was on the cruise and so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Lucy and I like to come on twice a week for you all, usually Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Miss you all last week because I was on the cruise, and then we will be back this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern for another relationship video. So those of y'all who love the relationship content, Lucy has a doozy we will be reacting to after.
All right. I'm going to get that out there clear so you can hear that. Wednesdays, was it Wednesday at 5, Saturdays at 5? That should be good for you. Yeah, and it is very interesting stuff. And I think they do very interesting. I think Lucy does God, what is it? She changed her topic type to more of this relationship culture and, well, not really relationship, but kind of like how do you present yourself? Etiquette. Sorry, the word was slipping my mind. Her and Maggie is doing this as well, and so this in combination with the relationship reaction, I think is a very interesting mix of what you can expect from a lady's perspective. The final thing I would say is, yes, always thank the guests, or I'm sorry, thank the host of the party. Take a 5-minute, walk around the room, say goodbye to the people you met, tell them it was a pleasure, especially the host, thank them. And then a follow-up that I always like is a thank you note. You can go on Amazon, go on Office Depot, whatever, Hallmark store, anything. You can get a pack of 500 thank you notes. They're little cards, no bigger than a deck of cards, right? Length and width wise, so 3 by 5. And then you can write a little thank you note, put a stamp on it, boom. It'll go to them. They'll think about you because you thanked them a second time. It shows that they could throw it away, but the point is that you thanked them and it got into their head that you showed appreciation. People like to be appreciated. So that's another thing. But outside of that was my response to what I thought was a very great video. And it looks like the pamphlet or ebook that they sent or that their code is with, it's in the description. Use Maggie20 at the website and you'll get a discount. I think it is geared towards women, but I think if you are interested in figuring out kind of these Robert's Rules of Orders for men, you could get some insight for it. There are other alternatives out there, but I think this video and then hopefully my response added a little extra content or context from the male perspective. And so I hope you have a good night. I'll try something a little bit more in the typical vein, but considering office party season is coming up, and even if you're working remotely, you might have to go in. Yes, you might have to not wear sweatpants. You might have to actually put on some slacks, go into a nice ballroom in Atlanta or Reston or Hopage or, think of any mid suburban area just outside of a major metro, and you might have to go in there, shake some hands, get ready for the planning for Q1. Anyways, thank you for joining. I'm gonna give a like because I think I watched this on Maggie's stream. I am subscribed to Lucy, but I don't know what happened. Anyways, thank you. I enjoyed this. Have a good night.